Crash course on criminal justice, courts and criminal trials. Explore the criminal trial process, including the roles of prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges. Certainly, I would be happy to give you a crash course on the criminal justice system, specifically the court process and criminal trials. Criminal trials are a crucial part of the criminal justice system. They are designed to determine whether an accused person is guilty or not guilty of a crime. The criminal trial process involves several steps, including the roles of prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges. Let's take a closer look. The roles of prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges. Prosecutors. Prosecutors are attorneys who represent the government in criminal cases. They are responsible for bringing charges against defendants, presenting evidence in court, and arguing the case for the prosecution. Prosecutors work closely with law enforcement to build a case against the defendant. Defense attorneys. Defense attorneys are lawyers who represent the accused. Their job is to protect the rights of their client and ensure that they receive a fair trial. Defense attorneys review evidence, investigate the case, and argue on behalf of their client. They may also negotiate plea deals with the prosecution. Judges. Judges are responsible for ensuring that trials are conducted fairly and impartially. They make decisions about admissibility of evidence, instruct the jury, and ultimately determine the verdict. Judges also impose sentences on those who are found guilty. Now, let's look at some interesting examples or stories related to criminal trials. Example number 1. The O.J. Simpson trial. One of the most famous criminal trials in history is the O.J. Simpson trial. In 1994, Simpson, a former professional football player, was charged with the murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. The trial lasted for months and was widely publicized. In the end, Simpson was found not guilty of the murders. Example number 2. The Boston Marathon bombing trial. Another high-profile criminal trial was the trial of Jahar Tsarnaev, one of the two brothers responsible for the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Tsarnaev was charged with 30 counts, including the use of a weapon of mass destruction. The trial lasted for weeks and ended with Tsarnaev being found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to death. Now, let's move on to the top 12 criminal trial process. Top 12 criminal trial process. 1. Arrest. The first step in the criminal trial process is the arrest of the suspect. This usually happens when law enforcement officers have probable cause to believe that the person has committed a crime. 2. Booking. After the arrest, the suspect is taken to a police station for booking. This involves taking their personal information, photographing and fingerprinting them, and recording details about the alleged crime. 3. Initial appearance. The suspect is brought before a judge for an initial appearance. The judge informs the suspect of their charges and sets bail, which is a sum of money that the suspect must pay to be released from custody. 4. Preliminary hearing. If the case proceeds, a preliminary hearing is held to determine whether there is enough evidence to proceed to trial. At this stage, the defense may challenge the admissibility of evidence. 5. Arraignment. The suspect is formally charged in court during the arraignment. They are asked to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. If they plead guilty, the case may proceed to sentencing. If they plead not guilty, the case proceeds to trial. 6. Discovery. Both sides exchange information and evidence through a process called discovery. This allows each side to prepare their case and determine the strength of the evidence against them. 7. Pre-trial motions. Before the trial, both the prosecution and the defense may file motions with the court. These motions may seek to exclude evidence, dismiss charges, or request a change of venue. 8. Jury selection. In cases where a jury will be used, the next step is jury selection. This involves questioning potential jurors to determine if they can be fair and impartial in the case. 9. Opening statements. At the beginning of the trial, both the prosecution and the defense make opening statements. This is their chance to lay out their case and tell the jury what evidence they will present. 10. Presentation of evidence. Both sides present their evidence, including witness testimony, physical evidence, and expert testimony. The prosecution presents their case first, followed by the defense. 11. Closing arguments. After all the evidence has been presented, both sides make closing arguments. This is their final chance to persuade the jury to find in their favor. 12. Verdict and sentencing. After deliberation, the jury reaches a verdict. If the defendant is found guilty, the judge imposes a sentence. This may include fines, probation, or imprisonment. Now, let's summarize what we have learned. The criminal trial process involves several steps, including the roles of prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges. Criminal trials are an important part of the criminal justice system and can have significant consequences for both the accused and the victim. The top 12 criminal trial process steps include arrest, booking, initial appearance, preliminary hearing, arraignment, discovery, pre-trial motions, jury selection, opening statements, presentation of evidence, closing arguments, and verdict and sentencing. As for a poem about the criminal trial process, here is one that I have written. The criminal trial, a process so complex, involving judges, lawyers, and those who are vexed. The prosecution and defense, they take their stance. To present evidence, with careful advance. The trial begins with an arrest in sight. Booking and charges, the accused takes flight. An initial appearance, a judge will preside. And set bail for the accused to abide. The preliminary hearing, to test the proof. And if it's enough, the trial will move. Arraignment next, a plea to enter. Guilty or not guilty, the case will center. Discovery, pre-trial motions, all set in place. To ensure the trial is run with grace. Jury selection, both sides question. To ensure a fair trial, with no misdirection. Opening statements, to lay out the case. Evidence presented, to prove their grace. Closing arguments, a final plea. To persuade the jury and set them free. Verdict and sentencing, the final stage. Consequences handed down, like a written page. The criminal trial, a process so complex. But justice served, is the ultimate success. *****. Start planning your next global adventure with ease and convenience with our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html?aid equals 7989335 is a great choice to plan your next trip. You can find and book flights, hotels, cars, and local attractions all in one place, and their price match guarantee ensures you're getting the best deal. Thank you for kind support our Anhub Metaverse channel, and please watch more interesting videos here.